Commander Zexistar flexed his forearms in frustration as he stared at the massive viewing screen displaying the hunting arena below. For 3 cycles now, his most elite predators, the Kethmori, had refused to enter their sacred hunting grounds. The apex predators that had terrorized countless species across the galaxy now cowered in their containment units, making distressed clicking sounds whenever the arena's entrance dilated open. It all started with what the Galactic Council had deemed a harmless experiment. The human specimen, designation Marcus Chen, had been acquired from a passenger vessel that strayed too close to Zextar's research station. Unlike other species they had collected over the centuries, humans were considered Class 7 entities, non-threatening, suitable only for basic behavioral studies and entertainment purposes. Chen had been placed in the standard observation habitat, with other harmless creatures from various worlds. For months, Chen had been the perfect pet. He followed basic commands, consumed the provided nutrition blocks without complaint, and even seemed to enjoy the simple puzzle games the researchers provided. The science team found his bipedal locomotion amusing, and his habit of making rhythmic sounds with his vocal cords, what he called humming, was considered endearing. Dr. Vexlai, the station's chief xenobiologist, had suggested the experiment during a routine entertainment session. The Kethmori have grown complacent, she had argued. Perhaps introducing harmless prey into their environment would provide stimulation while giving us data on human fear responses. The Kethmori were magnificent creatures, 3 meters tall with razor-sharp claws, enhanced musculature that could tear through reinforced steel, and sensory organs so acute they could track prey across star systems. They were the galaxy's perfect predators, bred specifically for hunting the most dangerous game the universe could provide. Chen had been released into the arena on what the researchers assumed would be his final day alive. The betting pools among the staff heavily favored the Kethmori completing their hunt within minutes. Some optimistic researchers gave the human an hour at most. 18 hours later, Chen was still alive. The first Kethmori, designation Alpha Prime, had approached the human with typical predatory confidence. But instead of fleeing or cowering, as expected, Chen had done something unprecedented. He had sat down, made direct eye contact, and begun speaking in calm, measured tones. "Hey there, big guy," Chen had said, his voice steady despite facing certain death. "You're beautiful, you know that. Look at those claws, that musculature. Evolution really did a number on you, didn't it?" Alpha Prime had stopped mid-stalk, confusion evident in its posture. Chen had continued talking, his voice carrying an strange quality that the translation devices struggled to interpret. He spoke about Earth, about dogs and cats and the bonds between species. He talked about respect, about understanding, about the difference between hunting for necessity and hunting for sport. "I get it," Chen had said, slowly extending his hand. "You're a predator. It's what you are, not what you choose to be. But you're also intelligent. You can choose when to be a predator and when to be something else." The impossible had happened. Alpha Prime had approached and allowed the human to touch its armored hide. Within 6 hours, all 3 Kethmori in the arena had surrounded Chen, not as predators circling prey, but as creatures drawn to something they had never encountered before. By the end of the cycle, they were following him around the arena like massive deadly pets. Now 3 cycles later, the Kethmori refused to hunt anything. They had lost interest in their traditional prey, spending their time instead making the same distressed sounds whenever Chen was removed from their presence. Dr. Vexelai's attempts to recondition them had failed completely. "Commander," Dr. Ball, Vexelai's voice crackled through the communication system. "We've completed our analysis of the human's vocal patterns during the initial encounter." "And?" Zextar's mandibles clicked impatiently. "Sir, the human wasn't just speaking. He was employing a complex combination of vocal tonality, body language, and what our behavioral analysts can only describe as emotional resonance. He somehow communicated not just intelligence, but empathy, genuine concern for the Kethmori's well-being. Zextar stared at the arena where Chen sat cross-legged, surrounded by three of the galaxy's most fearsome predators, who were now gently nuzzling him with their massive heads. That's impossible. Humans are Class 7. They're barely sentient. Sir, I recommend we immediately reclassify humans. Our initial assessment was incorrect. On the arena floor, Chen looked up at the observation deck and waved. Even at this distance, Zextar could see the human was smiling. Not the grimace of fear they had expected, but something else entirely. Something that suggested Chen had known exactly what he was doing from the moment he had been released into the arena. Sir, Dr. Vexlight continued, there's something else. We've been monitoring transmissions from human space. They call creatures like the Keth Mori dogs and cats on their world. Apparently, they have a long history of forming bonds with predatory species. Zextar's blood chilled. A species that could tame apex predators through nothing but compassion and understanding. A species that saw deadly creatures and thought friend instead of threat. Release the human, Zextar ordered quietly. All humans, immediately. Sir? And update their classification to Class 1, highest threat level. As the orders were transmitted, Zextar watched Chen continue to play with the Keth Mori, teaching them what appeared to be a human game involving a spherical object. The predators were learning quickly, their earlier bloodlust completely forgotten. The galaxy had been hunting the wrong apex predator all along. Humans didn't conquer through force or fear. They conquered through something far more terrifying, love. And now Zextar's most elite hunters had been thoroughly domesticated by a creature they had intended to be food. The thought that there might be billions more like Chen scattered across human space made Zextar's exoskeleton shiver with primal fear.